Welcome back to the Nerdy Grail and welcome to a brand new discussion video here on the channel. Now this isn't one that I was planning on doing and it wasn't one that really crossed my mind, but when I was scrolling through my phone during work during a break I had, I did come across an article from Screen Rant talking about the Doctor Who 2026 Christmas special, the upcoming Christmas special, and describing it as quite problematic. I have seen people doing rumours and potential leaks and this, that and the other, worrying about the future of the show, and I just wanted to throw my thoughts into that and go through the article that Screen Rant wrote, because quite a lot of their points are things that I'm actually concerned about in regards to the show and where it's going to go in the future and how they could potentially mess up the Christmas special if they are not very careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through Screen Rant's article and I'm just going to give you my thoughts on some of the points that they pull up, because quite often they pull up some quite valid stuff in my personal opinion. So the title of this article from Screen Rant is Doctor Who's 2026 Christmas Special is already problematic, and I love that straight away we've got a picture of Catherine Tate and David Tennant. So 14 and Donna from Wild Blue Yonder. And yeah, if you show a picture of David Tennant, instantly people are thinking, is he coming back? Will the 14th Doctor return? And David tends to be the incarnation that does spring up quite a lot, as 15 said. So this article was actually published yesterday on the 23rd of February 2026. And the article reads as follows. As a lifelong Doctor Who fan, I'm particularly worried about what's next for the long-running sci-fi series on TV ahead of the 2026 Christmas special. Doctor Who has a lengthy tradition of marking the holidays in the UK and more recently across the world, with a special Doctor Who episode that serves as a one-shot adventure for the Doctor and his companions. While the original run of the show from 1963 to 1989 didn't have dedicated holiday specials, since the show was revived in 2005, it managed to claim a prime spot on the listings of December 25th. However, there was a brief stint during Chibnall's tenure when the show switched things up and had New Year's specials instead. Still, this tradition remained firmly in place for the better part of 2 decades, with 2025's absence becoming a disappointing stain on the legacy. However, 2026 is set to bring the Christmas special back, with none other than the man who brought the show back in 2005, penning the episode, Russell T Davies. But despite this exciting development, Doctor Who is in a weird place going into the 2026 holidays. And this is where the points of the article come in, and this is where the concerns come in for a lot of Doctor Who fans, a lot of the Whovian community, and me myself. I just haven't voiced my concerns that much on my channel yet, but this is what this video is all about. So the first point they talk about, and this is a point that I totally agree with, is the fact that there is no Doctor manning the TARDIS after Ncuti Gatwa left. So yes, obviously we did get Billie Piper, which they do go on to talk about, but technically she's still not listed as the Doctor. So at the moment, there is no Doctor flying the TARDIS. So we got, in 2025, Ncuti Gatwa shocked audiences around the globe when he concluded his second season as the 15th Doctor with a regeneration. Sure, he beat out Christopher Eccleston's single-season run, but it felt unexpected and rushed in terms of the story, which was further confirmed by the fact that he regenerates into Billie Piper, aka Rose Tyler, to long-standing fans. While initially this had fans questioning if Piper was officially the 16th Doctor in the series, it was confirmed that this was not a canonical regeneration to a new Doctor, but something RTD thought would be fun to do, and a favour from Piper, who had missed working with RTD, but that leaves things in a very uncertain place for the next Doctor Who adventure, because there's no clarity around who the Doctor will be in the 2026 holiday special. And yeah, because of the fact that we don't know really if Billie is actually the Doctor in the special, she could be the Bad Wolf entity, she could be Rose Tyler, could be someone completely new. Because she hasn't been officially announced as the Doctor, we don't have a current Doctor. So who is going to be the Doctor in the Christmas special? And that's what leaves people up in arms as to whether it might be a multi-Doctor story. They might revisit old classic Doctors, but that just leaves it a bit more confusing, and we can't keep relying on the past. That's one of the core problems that I think especially RTD2 era had, with trying to do something new but then relying heavily on the classics. alienating loads of audiences by using Sutekh and having to have Pyramids of Mars be an essential watch in his first season. So yeah, we don't have an actual Doctor at the moment, so that is a concern of mine, is who's going to be our lead, and what on earth is Billy going to be doing in that special? And yeah, those faces say it all from the 15th Doctor and Belinda Chandra there, and I still think that Belinda got absolutely shafted, if I'm honest. She started off quite well, but then after the well, she just fell to pieces. The second point we've got here, which does follow on from the lack of a Doctor plotline, the 2026 Doctor Who Christmas special could be a Doctor Light episode. Without a clear answer about who will be playing the role of the Doctor, it seems that one of the most likely outcomes for the 2026 special is that it'll be an episode that focuses on characters other than the Doctor. Blink remains one of the most beloved episodes for the show, for introducing the Weeping Angels, and it followed a young woman named Sally Sparrow, while David Tennant's 10th Doctor and Martha Jones were stuck in the past. Since then, there have been a handful of Doctor Light episodes, and they have performed reasonably well, so it could make sense to have this adventure follow Billy Piper and explain why the Doctor regenerated to look like his first companion from the new era. The problem is, though, we've had such a stint of Doctor Light episodes, and we have had such a long gap now with no Doctor Who content apart from the War Between the Land and the Sea, which also didn't have the Doctor in. To have then a Doctor Light Christmas special, and then for us to maybe then have like another year gap, because we don't know when the next season's going to air, it just feels like that would be a stupid decision to make. So if it was a Doctor Light episode, I think that's really going to hurt people. And then are we not then going to see a regeneration into who the actual 16th Doctor is? How are we going to make this work? There's so many reasons why I'm concerned about this, so I really hope that this isn't true, and I would hate for it to be a Doctor Light episode. I know there's rumours and things going around about how they want to resurrect and do some older Doctors and bring back previous Doctors, which I'm all for to a degree, but we've done that quite a lot, and please don't let it be who I think it's going to be, if you are going to do that. Moving on then, and this is the one that I am most concerned about, I think. Doctor Who could bring out a previous Doctor, just please not David Tennant. And that is nothing against David Tennant as an actor. He is fantastic, and he was fantastic as both 10 and 14. Nothing against that at all. It's just you can't keep relying on him. He's had his time in the TARDIS. I know there's people who love David Tennant's Doctor and just fanboy and fangirl over him, but come on, this is a show about change. We need to let him go now. He's a busy man, and we need to let other people have a chance in the spotlight. Alternatively, RTD could opt to bring a different Doctor back. Since the specials don't necessarily need to adhere to the schedule of the regularly released programme, previously when Stephen Moffat handed over the role to showrunner Chris Chibnall, Chibnall was reluctant to introduce his new iteration of the show with Jodie Whittaker in a Christmas special. So Moffat brought Peter Capaldi, aka the 12th Doctor, back after he began regenerating to have one last outing. That move resulted in another iconic episode, Twice Upon a Time, where the 12th Doctor runs into the first Doctor, played by David Bradley. In this way, it's not a bad choice to throw out the rulebook and do something really special. However, this option could come with a caveat. RTD has already introduced the world to David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, then brought him back in 2023 to play the role of the 14th Doctor, along with creating various specials with Tennant as the leading man or a very important central figure. It's time to focus on other iterations. That isn't to say he shouldn't come back if there is some way to do so in a larger crossover with numerous Doctors, but he shouldn't be the leading man in the 2026 Christmas story, and I fully agree with that. You can't have him as the leading man again. We've only had him 3 years ago, and then before that he came back in Day of the Doctor, which was only 3 years after he departed the show anyway, and then we had him for like 4 seasons, so we need to let the man go. I'm sorry, I love David Tennant, and I love 14 in particular, but we can't. I don't mind if he comes back in cameos, or it's like they say, you have multiple Doctors, like you have 4 or 5 different Doctors and he just so happens to be one of them, that's fine. But you can't make him the central person. I'd much rather find out that Billy Piper is the 16th Doctor than to have David Tennant's 14 or 10 pop back up yet again. And then the next point we've got, will the 16th Doctor actually debut in 2026? Of course, many people are anxiously awaiting the arrival of the 16th Doctor, but it doesn't seem likely that this will happen in 2026. RTD has announced that he will be departing the show after this special. which makes it highly unlikely that he'll pick the next actor to play role alongside a new showrunner. It could be a possibility that the new showrunner would select an actor to play the part ahead of the special, and potentially entrust RTD with writing their debut episode. But looking at how previous showrunners have always developed the story closely with their Doctors, it would be a considerable break from tradition. All that said, Doctor Who's 2026 Christmas special could subvert all expectations, and RTD could decide to move in a different direction, but it seems likely that one of the above options will be employed to bring the story to life. And yeah, I'm becoming increasingly more and more worried about the fact that we might not even see the 16th Doctor debut in 2026, and we might genuinely have to wait for the first full season of whatever the new era is, whether it's still under RTD or whether it's under someone else. And that is a concern, because then by then, we'll have probably had 2 or 3 years with no new Doctor. And that can be a concern for some people, and then it teeters on to whether we're going into like another wilderness years type of thing. I think personally, for the sake of the show, we should see the 16th Doctor, but then if you show the 16th Doctor, you also then need to get the next season up and running, because if you have the new Doctor, and then we have to wait like over a year, maybe even longer than over a year to see said new Doctor, you know, theories will go wild, fandom will go crazy, people might forget, you know, lots of negative stuff could happen. I mean, think about when Jodie left. She left in October of 2022, and we didn't see David's 14th Doctor until, I believe it was November of 2023. So that was 13 months of no new Doctor on screen, and that did leave a mark on the show. So I really think they should debut, personally. But yeah, all these are major concerns of mine. And also, what villains are you going to have? You need to make it special. I think we need to have the Daleks, if I'm honest. We've had lots of talk about them. I know the Daleks are an obvious choice and people are bored of them. But considering we haven't had a single Dalek in the whole of the RTD2 era, the last time the Daleks appeared on screen was in 2022 with Jodie Whittaker, unless you want to count the Children in Need comic relief special Destination Skaro with 14, but properly as a Dalek, I think, yeah, we should get the Daleks, or the Cybermen, or even the Master, because you've got things like the Golden Tooth and other things to tie up before RTD dependably goes off. You know, you've got to tie up these loose ends, like the Boss and things like that. You can't just leave these for the next showrunner because you don't have any ideas yourself. But yeah, so that is going to be, sorry, my little bit of a rant of this Screen Rant article, which is a fantastic article, which was written by Ben Gibbons, and I completely agree with all the points that were made in this article, and these are concerns that I thought about time and time again in my head. But if you did enjoy this video, please like it by giving it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts on the Doctor Who 2026 Christmas special. Are you concerned, and what are you concerned about? Let me know in the comments down below. And subscribe if you are new, but for now, this is the Nerdy Grail signing off. I hope you've had an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everyone.